So I went to the Buck Ridge Burn half marathon today. They have a 5K and a 10K as well. Down at the Pine Grove State Park, about 3 hours away if you take Route 30 for me, and if you take the Turnpike, I think it might be 2.5. Finished second overall in an hour 46:30.3, I think. The winner was like 2 minutes and 20 seconds ahead of me. I don't know, it's a fun course. I like the race. I like supporting the race. It's worth the trip. I just really didn't have my A game today, or the enthusiasm. Never really put the hammer down, so I did fall behind. I actually stayed overnight last night in Carlisle because I figured I wasn't getting up at like 4:30 in the morning to drive down for the race. So I just stayed, bit the bullet, got a hotel. I had a headache last night before I went to bed. Felt a little off, so I took some kind of like Advil or something I had. Woke up, I was a little gassy this morning. I don't know, I felt off a little bit, but it is what it is. I'm getting into the details before the race, that way you understand. I ate breakfast, still felt gassy. It was like a little different breakfast than I normally would. I had some like Honey Nut Cheerios, and egg with cheese, and a little sausage that the hotel did. Did take a nice poop before I left. It was only like a 20-minute drive from my hotel, so relatively close, at least a lot better than a 3-hour drive. I got to the race still a little gassy, and my stomach felt upset a little bit. Like I just felt like pressure in it. But I had maybe 35 minutes before the race started, so I had to figure things out a little bit. Got my bib, went back to the car, and then it hit me. Had to go to the bathroom again. Felt a lot better after that, so I think that's what I was feeling this morning at the hotel. It was just everything was getting pushed through. I was definitely relieved at that. Because if that would hit me during the race, that definitely would have cost me a lot. Plus, I don't know where I would have went on the course. I don't know. Got to the start line maybe 8 minutes before. Because by the time I went to the bathroom again at the race, put my actual bib on and finished getting ready and got to the start area, she was already doing announcements this morning. She started at like 10 till. I didn't get there until like 8 till, so I missed some of the details. So I had to ask somebody what color we were following. Here it was pink. There's 2 different colors. There's pink, yellow, and blue. I think yellow was a color. I know there was blue was a color, and I think yellow was the other color. They were for the yellow and blue were for the other 2 races, so I was following pink. That was really the only thing I needed to know. I did try to do some scouting beforehand of who was going to be at the race. I couldn't really find too much information on the competition, so I didn't really know what to expect. I was hoping to win today. I set up my Pace Pro. Well, at least I thought I set up my Pace Pro for an hour 39 minutes. I downloaded the GPX file the other day and was looking at that, trying to figure out a game plan. And I know when I did this race a couple years ago, before the course changed, I did it like an hour 39 something and change. So I just figured I'd set the bar at an hour 39 just to see what would happen. I'm not sure exactly where all the changes were. I mean, for the vast majority of the course is the same, but I don't know where like the without going home and actually looking at the maps, like where specifically the changes were this year from like a couple years ago. Personally, I think it was in the beginning. For some reason, I think we went uphill a lot more, but I could be wrong. Maybe I just started really fast and it felt like I was going uphill more, but it is what it is. I'm kind of curious when I get home to look. But I actually got like 13.74 on my watch, 1,800 feet of gain. GPX file was really only saying 1,500 feet. I think like 13.4. So the file was a little bit off. Not sure where the difference actually was. I want to look at that as well, because 200 feet plus is a big difference in a GPX file, and like 3/10 is a big difference as well. Over, not under. Like if it was under, all right, whatever, but over, kind of curious in that. Let's see, what did I wear today? Get that out of the way. Calf sleeves, compression shorts, shorts over top because it was a little chilly this morning. Wore my Only Athletics jersey, normal hat. I took a gator. I just had it around my throat at the beginning, and then I quickly put it over my head, and then I put it away on my. I took my naked belt today. I did throw my Blake mitts in my belt. Being a little bit chilly, I figured once we hit the woods, it might be a little bit colder, so my hands were going to get cold. I actually didn't need them at all, so it was kind of a waste to carry that weight around and to take them. So I kind of wish I didn't. But whatever, everybody else seemed to be, well, most people, I wouldn't say everybody else, but a lot of people had gloves on or they had long sleeve shirts. So people were thinking the same thing I was. But whatever. Took 18 ounces of Nuun caffeinated with me today. So that's what I had on me. Well, I had my MP3 player. So getting to the race itself, get all that other shit out of the way. Like I said, I didn't know what to expect competition-wise, but when I got to the start line, nobody seemed to really want to get up front, like be in that front line. So I felt a little bit confident. Just looking around, people just seemed like they were calm and collected. And even though I wasn't in a race mode, or really because I wasn't even fully awake yet. I was just kind of going through the start motions, to be honest with you. But then once we started, this one guy just took off right away. I was like, all right, here we go. And then there was me, so it was like us two that just took off from the beginning. And we pretty much, as I'll probably say again, ran by ourselves for most of the race. But I saw him for, we'll say a mile, mile and a half. I don't think it was even 2 miles. It could have been, but whatever. I lost sight of him. I was just like, whatever. Just let him go. Because you start out with a quick little uphill, and then you make a right. It seemed like a flat, I think it was a flat section. Then you go right back up for a couple miles. I think you get 800 feet or 600 feet in the first couple miles. Basically going uphill for between 1,000 and 1,200 feet in the first 4 or 5 miles. Maybe 100 feet down or 200 feet down at the most. But you're doing a pretty good weave pattern, like switchbacks and stuff like that. I don't even know if I would really even call them switchbacks, because you're not really like coming back on yourself early on in the race. Later on you do. The first couple miles it's more like a weave pattern, so you might weave and it might just like steadily go one direction, then it might steadily go weave the other direction, like left to right. Little rocky, but still runnable. The whole course was runnable, and I will say it is completely runnable. I know some people are going to walk some sections, but the winners are probably going to run the entire race, and you're going to be able to. I know, like, I ran the whole race today. I mean, in some sections I might have been a little bit slower, like the uphills or whatever, or some of the downhills where it's a little more technical. But in general, you're going to be able to run the whole course, even in the worst parts. But as I lost view of him, I sort of got like unmotivated to stay with him, because going in, my game plan was to not really attack until mile 8, which I saw on the map was like the big downhill. The first couple miles you're going uphill, and then that mile 8 is like when the elevation just like bottoms out and you just like drop like 600 or 800 feet, and then it gets a little bit flat, and there's like just 2 little bumps to finish out the race. So I figured from like 8 on is where I was going to do all the work and really like push. So I wasn't too worried about losing him early on, but I just didn't want him to get too big of a gap where I couldn't recover, if that makes sense. Because not remembering the course and the potential changes, like I wasn't sure what that mile 8 to the finish was going to be. I kept thinking it was access road down, which I was wrong. But anyway, the course itself is a good mix. A lot of it's like single track, but it's a good mix of views and fills, like wooded, like different wooded features throughout the course. And the way it's set up and the way I feel about the course, you never get bored with it. And I will stress that the changes like always keep you like wanting more and appreciating how it was set up. I don't know if that was the intent or if that's just how the trails are set up there or whatever, but it just seems like the scenery and how things like change, it just constantly keeps your attention. There's some like bigger rock bouldery sections, small like rooty sections, some smaller rock sections. There's like smooth single tracks that you could just like turn and burn through. And later on, like that middle section of the course, there is some switchbacks when you're going up switchbacks, and then there's some down switchbacks. So I mean, it is a really good mix, and if you like trail running, you're going to really, I think, have a good time on this course. And I don't mean like time-wise by clock management. I mean like time-wise, like good time-wise. Just because you're going to be happy you're there, and you're just like the changes are just going to like make you feel happy and give you like that euphoria type feel. We just want to keep doing it, I guess. I know quite a few times during the race today, I was looking at my watch, and I'm in like the low 6s. I might have broke 5s a few times, into the 5s. And I'm just like, how am I running this pace on a trail race right now, like 5-6 miles in, plus, I was like, I am running like a marathon road race pace right now, and I don't even know how I'm doing this, just because I get caught up in the moment, and how the trail was set up and how I feel at the moment. I was just running super fast. Not that I was doing that for like miles at a time, but just, you know, like a couple of tenths here, a couple of tenths there, which I'll take all day long. Obviously, I'm going to be a little bit slower on some of the uphills where I'm not trying to turn and burn my legs completely up. Especially earlier in the race, as we were going up the main, like 800 foot to 1,000 foot climb. I'm not trying to like completely burn myself up where I have no legs later in the race. Whatever. It's just hard to explain some of the, like, the different terrain without actually seeing it. I mean, this time of year, there's not a lot of greenness, so it's nice as well, because I think if it does get a little bit greener, the thorn bushes and shit are going to stick out a lot more. I know in some parts today they were already like closed up a little bit, and you did brush up against like thorn bushes and shit. Especially when you had to avoid some of the water, since it rained like for 5 days this week in a row. The course was a little bit wet, but for as much rain as we got, I was very impressed how dry the course actually was. So I'm not going to complain at all. I did try to avoid it early on, but then, like, we'll say like the second half of the race, I just basically ran through the middle of it because I just figured my feet are wet. What the hell? Why try to avoid it? Plus, it was costing me time going left to right on the trail, jumping around. But you'll have that. You sort of have to pick and choose that battle. I did have a nice. There was a few spots like where there's some logs down. I'd say maybe like 20 to 30 different logs over the course. Some were lower, some were higher. So that did take a little bit of energy to jump over or get around. I know there was a couple high ones. I really, you know, did some high jumping. People would have been impressed. But for the most part, they were easy enough to hop over. I know in the one section, well, I'll get to that here in a little bit. I don't want to get to that part yet. When we get to the little lollipop section, which is just like a little circle around some like cool looking boulders and stuff like that, it's a little bit slower in that area. But I did ask the aid station there. I was like, hey, how much farther ahead is he than me? I was like, is he over 2 minutes? And they're like, it's about 2 minutes. And I was like, shit. This was probably 7 miles into the race, maybe. Like couldn't have been set. It had to be closer to like 7 to 8 range. Because that was like right at the downhill when we popped out of there. I was like, all right, time to do some work. And it was a little bit of a quick run part, but then it got a little bit more technical and like a shoot, like a single track shoot type deal. And I basically blew it a little bit there, being a little too cautious. As you know from past, you know, running downhill and stuff like that, I'm trying not to get hurt or fall, where it's going to slow me down and hurt me or whatever, so then I can't finish the race. So I was a little bit too cautious there. And it probably did cost me the race if I would have been a little bit more aggressive. But then again, there was some like bigger rocks that you did have to like go over and around and squeeze through in that section. I think I did lose like 10 seconds in this one part where I first hesitated which way to go. Then I think I made like a left, I should have made a right. It was maybe like 10 feet at the most, because I could see like the flags to my right. So I just backtracked that 10 feet and got back on track real quick. So that was like my only mistake of the day. Then I went off trail, which was 10 feet, but that was like through boulders. So I just sort of guessed wrong. Luckily it was briefly. I'm trying to think what else. I wish I could give you a bunch more details. I could probably go in like an hour's worth of details and stuff like that. I know I did pass like 5 people on that lollipop section or that loop. When I say I passed people, there was like 5 people headed out as I was coming back that I went around. That's that aid station that I asked how far ahead. But I basically ran like, okay, so I lost sight. We're just gonna say a mile and a half in, between a mile and a half, 2 miles in of the race of first place. From then on out, I saw nobody until like mile 9, except for that lollipop where there's people, people headed out. There was nobody like directly behind me in sight the whole time, even on like the longer switchbacks, the incline, like the longer inclines or the longer switchback inclines. I knew I had at least like 2 minutes, I would say, for most of the race between me and like 3rd place. Whoever was 3rd place, because just how far I could see in certain sections. And I was like, all right, so if I'm gonna catch first, because obviously he's turning and burning today and I don't have my A game, I was like, you should just like play for position. I think that's what I did for most of the race, was play for position, because I just didn't have the tenacity to chase it, red line, like push myself, or just have that killer instinct, or actually, more importantly, feel open and free today. Like my legs just felt tight and they wouldn't, like, when I say open up, I mean like put the hammer down / like be able to like stride properly to get me more speed. It was more like quick short strides where I could feel like tightness, probably like the pelvic area down to like my knees. It wasn't really like my calves or anything, it was just in that little section they just felt a little bit like tight and not loosened up, and I never did open them up where it would have been an advantage for me, to give me some more free speed. So that did cost me a little bit, because I know before when I did this race, like, I just felt awesome the entire race, and I was just like turning and burning and having fun and just flying through like everything. Plus I had the killer instinct back then. But again, I'm not complaining, because I really enjoy this race, and I think everybody else would. Jen really puts on an awesome race, like before and after, like the after party, which I'll get to. She's just a good person in general. So like on that downhill, which is probably, I don't know, a mile and a half, 2 miles, I don't know what it is without looking, we're just gonna say a mile and a half. Me being cautious, we're getting near the bottom. I finally look back again, and here comes somebody. Maybe 10 seconds or something within, or I think he said he was within like 30 yards of me. I just happened to look back, and I could have sworn it was a white shirt, but I think it was like a white flash of his hat, because when I was talking to him later, I saw like a white, he had white on his hat, but he had like a darker shirt. Anyway, I was like, oh shit, look what happened, dumbass. I was like, you were too cautious. Somebody came, and it's a really good hill bomber, and now they're gonna overtake you because now they feel good. You're being too slow and cautious, being a dumbass. So now you're gonna like get third, and then once you get third, you're gonna be like, all right, who's gonna pass me for fourth? And then you're just gonna give up. So I've gone to that mindset real quick. Right before we bottomed out of that hill, and then once we hit that bottom of the hill, there was probably another 1.5 to 2 miles, but this was like access road type shit, like Game Lands DCNR type access road that we ran on. And I was like, well, now or never. And I just like dropped the hammer and just completely like regained the gap. I was doing like, I'd have to look at my time. I would say like 6.5 to 7s maybe in that section. So I really gapped whoever that guy was. I think he ended up finishing 4th or 5th. So he got passed by 3rd place at some point after that downhill section. I don't remember where he said he got passed. And I know there was a couple people I was talking to that had a little bit of switching going on those last like 3 or 4 miles. But I just, like I said, I really laid the hammer down in that access section because I was like, that's my time. I was like, that was sort of my game plan in general. But if I didn't do it there, I probably wasn't gonna do it at all, and I was probably gonna get caught. And then I was gonna get pissed off because I got caught. After that section, I remember at the aid station, coming into that aid station at the end of there, it's not all like, it's a little bit of mix. I would say it's, some of it was downhill, some of it was uphill, some of it was like flat filling. But as we come to that aid station right there at the end of this access road, I remember, because they asked at that aid station what my number was, and I said 6. And at that previous aid station, they did as well. In that little like loop, lollipop, whatever you want to call it. I remember saying there. But at that aid station, after the access road, I remember I was like 6. My number 6. And I couldn't. I was trying not to stop or really pay attention because I wanted to get and go. I didn't stop at any aid station. Oh, no, I did stop at one aid station today. But like the first 4 or 3, whatever it was, I didn't take anything. I just like blew right past them because I had my water on me, or my hydration on me, so I didn't need to stop. So my plan was to turn and burn and save time by not having to stop at an aid station. But I just, when I come to an aid station, I just like take one of the ear pieces out from my headphones to say stuff and just to see what they're saying. And when I like, because I was number 6 bib, I was like, my number 6. Like I'm just like saying 6 as I'm going through, and I couldn't remember if the one lady said 66 or 6, but I remember her saying, "Oh, where's he at? Oh, there he is," you know, type deal. I was like, oh shit, and I wasn't stopping to like clarify what she said to lose time and momentum and let people catch up. So it's just like, whatever. So as we pop out onto this little road for maybe 50 yards or something, there was a couple more people stationed there to point you in the right direction. It was like, hey, as I saw them, I was like, hey, to the one lady, I was like, can you go back and tell them my number 6? I couldn't remember if she said 6 or 66, because I didn't want to, you know, them to look for me, or like, you know, be one of those situations, oh, he didn't check in here. So I just wanted, like, you know, to get some clarification that my number was just 6. This was like 3 miles left into the race, or 3.5 range. So whatever. I just kept going. This section was a little bit wetter. We did cross some creeks in here. I didn't mind. They felt awesome. I even took a second to dip my hat in as we crossed the one, because I was getting a little bit hot. I was wearing a black hat, one of my black trail hats today. So my head was getting a little bit warm because the sun was coming out, beating down. Because even though we're in a nice wooded area with no leaves and stuff, the way the woods are set up, it's sort of open a little bit. So the sun was beating down on us. So that's why I wanted to cool myself off a little bit. Plus my face was a little bit salty, so I needed to wipe that off. But this was a little bit wet. And this is like the section that I just like ran down the damn middle of the water and stuff, like as it was flowing down like the trail. I just ran right through it. I wasn't jumping around because again my feet were wet by that point. Yeah, just trying at that point to stay ahead of everybody that was, you know, marking at my heels, you know, trying to catch up to me, because I had no idea what was going on behind me. Even though I was glancing back here or there, that doesn't mean somebody wasn't going to just randomly like pop out in view. Even though I hopefully dropped that guy that came down the hill, and I was confident that I did, because when I was looking back, I felt I regained at least like a minute and a half of gap between the next person. Again, that doesn't mean that, you know, somebody from like 50th place didn't move up to like 3rd or 4th and is just, you know, charging down the doors. But I just kept running. Tackled the last little couple hills. I know near the end, like I looked at my watch and it was like 395 feet of gain left. And I'm looking at the elevation actual chart. I'm like, there's no damn way. But it was accurate. Those last couple of little like bumps of hills were a lot bigger than I thought. I took them pretty good. And at that last aid station, which was like a mile and a half left, whatever it was for the like more or less like for the 5K and I think the 10K people. Like their only aid station, but it was like our last one as well. I did take a quick little water, dumped that, and then I splashed one on my face. People working that aid station knew me. I wasn't really paying attention to who it was. Sorry. But they cheered for me when I came in, and well, they said my name, so they knew me, and they just started laughing when I just like splashed the water on my face, because I just did the old cup, just like threw it right on my face. It was a nice little relief. But then the rest of the way I'm with, somehow like whatever it merges, I think with the 5K, it might be the 10K, whatever. But anyway, we merged onto like another course to finish out the race. That last little, like, I want to say like mile and a half. I did pass a couple people in there, probably like 7 or 8. Let's see. Yeah. But that was a little bit more runnable section. Once we merged, it was more wide open, like double track type deal. A little wet in spots. Not smooth trail either, or complete access type road, but it was definitely like double wide. So I did try to lay down the hammer, because again, now that I'm finally awake, like as soon as like 10 o'clock really hit, I was actually awake. Which kind of sucked. I wish I was awake a little bit earlier, like an hour earlier at the race start. Probably have to do a little coke or something to get going in the races, but yeah, I just didn't wake up until like that 10, and then I just did feel like I did feel the energy after I did wake up at like 10. Thought it was kind of late in the race to do anything. I just basically finished out the race from there. did hop over a couple trees. I remember that was one of those sections did have one of like the higher trees, and I just did like a high jump over. Luckily, I didn't catch an edge of a lug or anything and just go face forward. Then I just flew into the finish line, and I got there. But whatever. I tripped. Well, I fell twice. And I tripped 2 other times today. I didn't get hurt. Might have had a little scrape on my palm, but nothing nothing that bled or anything like that. I know a lot of people had cuts on their legs from briars. Another bunch of people fell and got bloody knees and shit like that. I don't know. Overall, people seemed like they had a really good time. Nobody was complaining. It's always nice to see. I stuck around at the finish line for 5-10 minutes. Then I rushed over and changed real quick. Because where we park, it's almost like, I don't know how far. It feels like 3-minute walk. So I tried to change real quick so I could get back and watch people and get some clips in. So that was kind of fun watching some people. And then I finally knew I had to eat. Was getting a little gassy again. I did try to talk to a few people after the race. Like I talked to first, third, and like 5th and 6th. I don't know where everybody finished. I guess I really didn't ask for names today. I just knew that they were close behind in placement, so I was just chit chatting with them, see how they felt, see where they're gonna race next and shit like that. I ate a tuna sandwich on a pretzel bun. I had one of my Fit Aids, and I had one of those bubbly drinks, raspberry flavored. Just waited for awards and watched the 5 and 10K awards. A lot of nice food options, like some subs, some pretzel sandwiches, nice spread. Again, Jen does a really good job of having things organized, and her crew. It's a really well organized race. They've been doing it for years. The volunteers are awesome. I will stress that. All the volunteers are awesome. Just the normal volunteers, the DCNR people, the paramedics and the police and stuff like that. All of them are awesome. So I thank them for being there, allowing us to have the race. There's like a couple bands, or well, maybe just one band playing some good music, stuff like a couple vendors at the finish line. Overall, just a good time, good vibe. I want to say, if you ever been to Heiner, never been here, it's got like a Heiner feel to it, like where everybody's just having a good time. But obviously this one's a little bit of a smaller crowd. I think maybe 400 people or between 400 and 500 people are allowed to do this race before it sells out. So it's not the 2,000 people at Heiner, but it's got that Heiner feel. A lot of people wear Heiner hats and shirts, different Rocksylvania shirts. Yeah, so just a good crowd. Glad I went, enjoyed myself. Even though I finished second, I felt like I could have did a little bit better. There is some spots that I could have pushed a little bit more, where I just started getting into that relaxed, play for position feel. Definitely could have made up a lot of damn time there. I was shooting for an hour 39. I did 1:46, so I'm kind of disappointed in that. But I can't really say for certain how that disappointment plays into effect until I go home and I actually do some more analytics, the elevation compared from the last course, where the hills were and shit like that, because that brings a whole different ball game into it. I know I'm a little bit out of shape compared to where I was, and again, not having the energy at the start and for most of the race did cost me a couple minutes, but 7 minutes, I don't know. I think it was probably more me being me. But whatever. Would I do the race again? Yes. Will I support the race? Yes. I give this race my full support, and I think people should try it at least once. They won't be disappointed whether it's the half, which I think's your best option if you're able to, because the things you get to see and how the race actually like feels as you're running it the whole way through. I can't speak for the 5 and 10K because they're a little bit different courses. So yes, I do recommend this race if you get a chance. The flagging itself is on the ground. There is some flags around the ribbons around trees or hanging from trees, but for the vast majority of it, it's those small 4x4 or 6, whatever they are. I think they're 4x4 little flags that stick in the ground. You know, like a foot off the ground, like surveyor marker type deals. So you're not having to look up at all. You're able to keep your eyes low and, you know, be able to watch your feet more. And I think from now on, that's what I actually prefer over the ribbons that are hanging from trees, or just because visually I think it's safer for a trail race. Plus, not as wasteful either, because you can reuse them. And it's just easier, like I said, because you're not looking up straight ahead or upwards. You're actually able to keep your view and your peripheral vision on your feet and what's coming to you, so you're not doing the constant head bob. You're actually able to keep your head more at a steady visual perspective. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. And I think I prefer that over that flagging. Of course, I guess it would depend on the course itself. So if it's a really smoothed out course, there's not really any rocks or roots, maybe having them up where you really don't have to watch your feet. Or again, maybe at a night race. I understand if it's a night, where you're going to run into the night, you're going to need ribbons, you know, hanging, just because you can't be watching your feet trying to figure out where you're going in the middle of the night, because you're not going to pick out the flags. But during the day, races should be able to use them pretty regularly. So I think races actually should go to that. Again, it's going to save you money in the long run, maybe not up front, but in the long run, because you can actually reuse them. And I think it's safer for all racers. I know they use it for Murraysville Monster and shit, and it seems to work out pretty good. Other than that, I'm not really sure. Trying to think of anything else. I don't know. I do feel like I'm a little dehydrated. I know afterwards I ran the AT a little bit because I wanted to get 20 in for the day. And I went over and had a poop again and pee before I hit the AT, and it was really dark pee. So I was kind of a little worried about that. So I definitely didn't take enough fluids in today, or as hard as I was running, but whatever. guess that's about it. I know that's a really long race recap, but I wanted to touch on everything because I think the race deserves that. This was the awards. This is what I got for second overall. They did age groups as well, and then they give you like these handmade coaster looking things just for finishing the race. I don't know where it's at, somewhere in the back, or else I'd show it to you, but I think they're pretty cool. There's always like a different design on it. I didn't even get to look at the design this year, to be honest with you. I know I should have, but whatever. Guess that's it. A long ass race recap.